So just a bit for people who don't know about Venice Music. We're a music company. We've worked with so many artists. We're founded by Troy Carter and Susie Rue. We have worked with artists such as Brent Fayez, Twee, Mine, K. Tronada. We work with Sevyn, who's in the building today. We've also worked with Lay Banks and many others. Our goal as a company is really to help artists with tools and strategy and to really build so that y'all can all build sustainable careers, and also to help team members. We have so many things that we offer, from panel discussions, we do in-person events just like this. We also have a really dope tool that we just built that creates rollout strategies. So as many artists know, y'all have to be everything on the team. You have to be the manager, you have to be the tour manager, you have to weigh content, and there's so many different steps. So our goal as a company is to be able to have a personal connection. Many of our members in this room all have a personal connection with me and our team. So we want to be able to be a resource in that capacity, but we also want to be able to give you strategy. So this new rollout strategy tool, if you haven't tried it, you can try it for free. It's an amazing tool that allows you to pretty much put information about who you are as an artist, your social media, and different things. And we give you a 4-phase plan. We help you build out your brand strategy. We help you build your target audience of who you want to reach. And then we give you ideas for content so that we can really help artists by taking different things off your back so that you can build with your team and actually focus on creating. So we're gonna have a great panel and discussion today. I'm excited to have everybody here. She's an amazing human being, but also very talented at brand. We got Shawna Peezy, who's the VP of Artist Services at Venice Music. What up, Shawna? Next up, we have Grammy nominated artist, songwriter, and performer. Give it up for Sevyn Streeter. And then we got my man that's put this event together with the squad at Roland, my boy Markeith Anthony, who is the senior brand and creator partnerships at Roland. Let's go. All right, y'all. Well, Shawna, take it over.
Hi. Wait, can you hear me? Okay, here we go. Hi, everyone. Thank you guys for being here. So today is really about clarity, because, you know, the rollout normally is chaos, vibes, and praying for something to go viral. But we have developed a little bit of a science to it. So without further ado, it is me, Shawna, Peezy, and I'm the VP of Artist Services at Venice Music, and my job is mainly...
Let's go!
It's mainly helping artists get attention. That is the simplest way to put it. And we have Sevyn here. I bother Sevyn all the time.
You save my life all the time.
I was like, this is gonna be the perfect opportunity to be able to go through the rollout stages, hear from her point of view of doing it in real time, and also there'll be a few moments in the presentation where I'll have you guys do a little exercise too. And then we have Markeith Anthony, Senior Manager, Brand and Creator Partnerships at Roland.
Let's go!
So he's done getting into brand collaboration, music tech, and creative marketing alignment, because it all has to make sense, right? So let's get into why we're actually here today. So each of us is gonna bring a unique perspective, artist, brand partner, marketer. And so we really want to just break down how we think about creative vision and how to really be impactful. So today's focus, building an artist rollout strategy, aligning authentically with brands and using marketing, PR, and organization to grow and sustain your fan base. So whether you are an artist or on an artist team, this is really just gonna be a free flow conversation. The tools we'll get to at the very end, and resources that I think will be really helpful in just getting into the mindset of how to market yourself or how to market other people. But yeah, so the next slide, Donovan. So why artist rollouts matter? Because as you know, we are scrolling, we're watching TV, we're listening to music, we're listening to podcasts. So it's like, how are we gonna stop the scroll is the biggest thing. So it's really thinking through the story before the song, how fans are gonna experience the song, and really connecting the dots between the music, the visuals, and the message so they have something to return back to. So I know Donovan asked the question of how many artists are actually in the room. Okay, so I think the biggest thing is releasing music and either thinking, did anybody see that or does anybody care? And I feel like a lot of the times there's so many things at play, which is why we think about this as a entire cycle, not just the pre-release, the week your record comes out and the week after. So really thinking about how to extend the life of it, because also you could have put a song out last week and it really got overshadowed by what's happening in the government right now. So it's like, oh, did anybody hear your song when they can't eat? No. So it's like how to be able to like compete with those messages, or even think through of like, what are your fans doing in that moment? How do they feel? So maybe it is a pause in the traditional marketing, but you're doing lives and you're just having a conversation, or depending on what your practices are. So Sevyn is Miss Workout, okay? So you can be telling people how to really get, this is your practice for being able to get through tough times, or just what helps you keep your sanity. But our first case study is we are gonna get into your rollout strategy for assumptions. So I would love for you to just like give a little bit of background of what your journey has looked like, and right before assumptions, what were you thinking?
Ooh, okay, how much time we got? Okay. With assumptions, I'll just start off from what it sounds like. I'm a singer-songwriter. I don't know if you guys know, I write a lot of records. And thank you. And with that, and how many songwriters do we have in here? Any singer-songwriters? Period, yeah. So for me, I'm like, when you're a singer-songwriter and you're an artist, everything starts with the music. So I'm like, how do I want to paint today? An assumption that you listen to it sonically, for me, it's a little bit different than what I put out before. But because we are songwriters and we get to write in pop worlds, alternative worlds, all these different type of spaces, we, when it comes to our own artistry, sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to kind of do the same thing and give ourselves that same kind of energy. So with assumptions, that was what it was for me. I'm like, well, I just want to write what I want to write and feel how I want to feel. And so it's very colorful. It's very left in from what you're used to hearing from me. And so it was important that carried through from the sound to what I appeared like, to what how we express it and show it to to the fans and to the people who are gonna take the record in. So I had to put my music where my mouth is a little bit, and put that energy where my mouth is, and go, Peezy, well, I feel like this and it sounds like this. She was like, okay, well, put your music and your hair and your everything, and it makes sure that it all feels like it's one cohesive message, and it represents a new era for me, because that's really where I am, without us going down a rabbit hole and us having a whole little cry out moment up here. Trying new things and being a new version of yourself, it takes a certain level of fearlessness, and you have to have people who are with you that are like, okay, I see where you want to go with this, and you want to be colorful, you want to be this, you want to show that side of you. Let's paint it out and really create the world. And so with assumptions, it's the beginning of my new world. And even when you hear the music to come and the visuals to come, it's leading off the train, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I felt like the intention was really this reintroduction. So knowing that Sevyn's on a show, y'all. You didn't tell them about the show.
I did. I'm so sorry. I did a television show called Hitmakers. It's on Netflix, so you can check it out. It's a really great show. Shout out to all our songwriters out here, creatives, where they put us in a room and they say create a record from the consumption of it all the way up until your listening session at the end of the night, and you have to press play in front of all of your fellow creatives. So that's Hitmakers, and like I said, it goes back into the reintroduction part of it. People kind of got to see more of my personality. They got to see my quirks and all of my things, and to kind of bring that in with the new introduction with the music as well. Assumptions was just really, really important that we conveyed that in the right way. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, because I think the thing that I didn't know is Sevyn lives her life in a bikini.
I do.
And I was really trying to get to the bottom of what that was about. And then that's when I learned, oh, okay. She's a Florida girl. Okay, this is making sense. So it was learning that about her, and also just realizing the spaces she would have to be in to tap into songwriting. So it's like, oh, you really want to be free. So for the visuals, thinking about things with movement and edge and things that would imply risk taking. So we went back and forth about this skateboard that you see because we just thought it was so cool. And was like, okay, let's like add this in for some edge. And then we're like, oh, maybe this storyline is you would date a guy. Who would be on a skateboard.
I kind of have.
You know? So it's just like figuring out different things to lean into, and also knowing that I feel like a lot of artists struggle with which pieces of themselves that they want to show. So even if you've had success as a songwriter but haven't had your artist moment yet, or it's went back and forth, I think people tend to only focus on one at a time. And so the other thought as we were doing this was like, let's not shy away from that. So in the social strategy, you'll see the narrative sequencing. So knowing that the show was coming, knowing that the record was coming, it's like, okay, if this whole idea is gonna be about reintroduction, let's do a post with the 17 best songs you've written. Then let's do a post with your top 7 solo records. So it's just like, these two worlds aren't separate. And then from there, it's like, the best reaction was probably the studio playback.
Yeah, the teasing out the new music for the first time. That was a special one.
Yeah, so it's just like the learnings, putting up the post without thinking, did this perform great right off the bat? It's just like, does it play a part in the story sequencing that you're doing? Because people will go back. So even if you put up the first thing and it's like, was that a lukewarm reception? and you want to archive it quick or turn the comments off, like, well, only 3 people cared. But no, it's like, it's important for people to be able to, even if they caught you at the Halloween moment where she was like, I want to be Black Alice 2 days before Halloween. But yeah, so it's like, oh, this obviously brought a lot of eyeballs. Now this brings people back to your page to see what have you been up to and engage in that way.
And can I say, I think that y'all did a really great job at like the fact that, yeah, people know me as a songwriter, but I always get the note from fans like, release some music, or when are you going to do this, and when are you going to release this record? And I think that you guys did a really great job in allowing the fans to be a part of the picking and a part of the choosing of the song. They felt like, girl, don't you sell that record? Like, they was cussing me out of the comments. Like, don't you sell that record? Because it was, you know, what do you guys think that we should do with this song? Because we weren't quite sure in the beginning. You know, it's been, like she said, it's a reintroduction. It's been a little minute since I put out music. But being able to like reintroduce myself in that way and allow fans to be, you know, to be involved with the choosing and saying what we should do with the song. It just, I feel like it tied together my songwriter world and my artist world, and it you know, it reintroduced it in that way. I thought that was fly.
Yeah. Okay, Donovan, will you go to the next slide for us? So there are tons of steps in between these phases, but I feel like these 4 are the foundational steps in just like how you would approach rollout, right? So first thing is vision setting. What is this era about emotionally, or if you're gonna have a character arc, right? So is it the reintroduction and you coming back blonde, hot, in a bikini? Yes. Or is it heartbreak? And it's like, we telling the story of, are we still upset? Have we found a new boo?
She's not upset.
Yeah, no, see?
She might have found one.
So it's really deciding that from the beginning, because ultimately, if you think about your favorite songs, your favorite moments, you're tracing it back to something you feel, a place that you were. So even as you're putting it out, it's just like, thinking of it in that way too. Like, how are people gonna receive this? And I know how it is when you make something where it's just like, this song is good, so everybody should get it. And I wish that was enough, but it is really thinking about how do you enter people's world when it's super noisy, right? So we gotta figure out what's gonna be the relatability, the similarity, the story that people can follow along to. There's a really good book, and I am gonna put it up on my Instagram after this because I'm blanking on the name, but it's basically talks about script writing and how there's really 7 stories, right? So it goes into each thing and you begin to learn like, okay, how to talk to people in this way, what do they need to hear at a time like this, and test out different messaging, just so you can think about the framing of the record, because once you get through setting the vision, then you get to the build up. So what's gonna be the small hints, the slow burn tension to really let people in. So in the case of Sevyn, we knew this record was going to be fun and really new from what people were used to. It wasn't the traditional R&B ballad. It was like, no, let's dance a little bit.
Yeah, you let me live my life.
Yeah. So, it was like the things that led up to that, because even in the sound, it's like, oh, what are other moments that could live in this world? So this girl is also obsessed with Stranger Things.
I am.
So we were doing a glam day, and she was fully in talking to us about Stranger Things, and I'm like, hold on, we need to capture this. So we filmed that, and then naturally what was playing on her TV was also songs that she listens to on YouTube. So many people were clocking the music videos that were playing in the background and being like, oh, taste.
Yeah.
So all of those little things to be able to let people in and just create that connection. And then with launch moment, I feel like that could look different for everyone. And also not thinking of it as the finish line, because that is the piece where it typically stops. So even if you see some of your favorite artists, it's like, oh, you see the cover art, you're like, yes. Yeah. I want this to happen. The song is out. They thank all the DSPs, and you're like, yes. Crickets. Yeah. And you're wondering, okay, well, what happened? Are they doing a music video? No music video. Lyric video? No lyric video. And it just goes quiet. So thinking about how you can continue to talk. So for Sevyn, the launch moment was really the in-studio teaser. For people to be able to hear the song for the first time, give their opinions, and this one was also locked out of her TikTok for...
I was. I do. I'm sorry. It happens, right?
So after some troubleshooting and some begging, we got her back in. But what was really crazy is once we were in and just testing all the videos that we had put up on Instagram, it was this in-studio teaser moment that performed the best. And also just really let us know, like, oh, your fans want to be involved in this kind of moment with you. So how can we continue to do that? Yeah. And so then from there, she did a visualizer. And now that we are into post-release, it's like, okay, what else can we do to get this song in front of people? So whether the opportunity is a performance on a stage and it's IRL, or it's that moment of any of these performance platforms. So for us, we did 2. She popped out. This was literally me stalking 1,500 and other socials, and I'm like, wait, they playing at the Blue Note. Yeah. Call Rance, that's your friend, right?
Shout out 1,500. Y'all know 1,500, yeah? Woo! Shout out 1,500.
Yeah. So yeah, I was literally like, ask them, can you pop out? And she's like, when? I'm like, November 2nd. 7 p.m. and 9:30. But no, so that was the moment to perform it in a room and strip down with a band, just to also just see, like, here are people that know me. So even us going back and forth on which songs to perform. Yeah. So tell them which songs you decided on and why.
So I decided on Anytime, Any Place, Janet Jackson, which I love, is one of my favorites. And I did that into It Won't Stop because that is a fan favorite. And I love Janet Jackson. I love that era. I love everything about it. I love that record. And you know, little TT. I recently I flipped the melody for it into another record that is like one of my babies, and it just felt right. You know what I mean? It felt like it was something that, again, it was honestly still another way to like kind of test it out with my audience and my fans to see how they even feel about me singing in that space or singing those melodies. And so it was a good little teaser, and it performed well at the Blue Note. And then when we posted it, the fans were like, "Oh my God, I need a record like this." I'm like, "Well, you know what? It's on the way, you know." So it all worked out, but it was something that was, you know, very much so thought about, you know.
Yeah. So I think also the question always becomes, how long should you work a record, or when should you move on to the next one? And I think as long as you're weaving the stories together, they can still happen at the same time, and you can kind of bounce back and forth. Because I also think Assumptions was a little bit of a slow burn.
It was.
At the beginning, I'm like, I thought y'all said y'all wanted it.
Yeah,
like come on. And then once the dances happen,
yeah,
I'm like, okay, this is the energy that we wanted people to be in, to just really lean in, have fun. But I think they're ready for the Sevyn that be talking that talk.
I think they're ready for her too. I'm ready for her too. You know, the season's changing. Y'all know how we get when the seasons change, right? So it's like it's about that time. The Lover Girls is popping out. You know, people want to be a little warm and cozy. You know what I mean? So it's feeling like that for sure. I think that you know, yeah, it's time to cuddle up with something. You know, so we'll make sure that reflects. We got the soundtrack for you. Put it that way.
So yeah, so it's like you'll see her through the end of the year bounce in between one, still promoting Assumptions, It Won't Stop being the fan favorite, and still a catalog record that continues to perform, so not ignoring that either. And then with this new record, it's like, okay, this is very Janet-esque. Yeah. So let me like do some things, lean into some things. So no, it's gonna be really fun to roll that content out. And then me and Sevyn have been up here yapping. Yeah. And we have Markeith. Hi, Markeith.
Hello there. I'm enjoying the conversation, so I'm just here to hang out, just so you guys know.
Yeah. We're kikiing a little too much on the if you go to the next slide. So when we think about aligning with brands, right? I feel like I'm always seeing even my friends who are not artists and just being like, oh, that's a part of your routine. Like, you always have that type of water, or you always have this thing. And so I feel like if you are a newer artist, you may feel intimidated by the idea of like, what does a brand partnership look like? Or it's too early. And I think the biggest thing is leaning into products and brands that you already use. And if you follow me, I try that all the time. I'm just like, I get something for free. But no, it's like definitely using the tags, even approaching the content that you put up with like, what if they reshared this? So that's always the angle, but I would love to hear from you, Markeith, of just like what signals to you that an artist is ready for brand collaboration, and what's your approach on that?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback what you were saying, it's what you use every day, right? You go in the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you do your hair. There's products that literally live all around you, and so there's never an too early entry. You just have to really identify with the brands and the products that you love. And when artists come to talk to a brand like Roland, you can already identify that individual is in love with that product, because normally they're coming to the table with all these different ideas where it's like, oh, you've already really well thought out the strategy. You've obviously been using the products for a long time. So that's really like the key indicator really for us is when the artist kind of comes in with that, the business rationale is already set up of why we should spend this amount of money. The authenticity around, whoever the individual and the brand is kind of already resonates there. So kind of the business case is already presented before we get there. And I always say like there's multiple layers when it comes to brand partnerships, and you see different requests at different levels. So you have, like you said, you have one artist that comes that has no idea what they want to do, but they know that this keyboard sounds nice. So they'll just hit you and say, hey, I saw this new keyboard. I'm a pianist. Can you send me a keyboard? That's one level of partnership. Then you might have one that's more like curiosity of I don't play anything and was curious about what the program is that you guys might have going on. I don't know much about brand partnerships, but want to know more. Then you have that third level, that tier, which I was kind of explaining in the beginning, the one that really understands, identifies because they really truly love the stuff that they use every single day. Like, for example, just even as a brand advocate, like you were saying, I didn't understand it until I kept running up my points at Kiehl's, which is a face kind of washing situation. People are like, how do you always keep your face? I'm like, oh, it's Kiehl's. But I didn't understand I was using it until I kept going up there and they were like, yo, you have all these points. You want to start using these points? I'm like, And then, people start asking you out and about, like, oh, what's your face care routine? And then it starts to click, like, wow, I actually love this brand. I just don't know it. It's actually just sucking up my money, but I'm not really thinking about it that way. So that's really how I think we really identify. It's multi-tier, multi-layer, but really the ones that kind of get over the line and really make an impact are the ones that come with, like, that identified business rationale of why a brand would invest in you. And I think that's the most key important thing. And when artists are, looking at the rollout, they should be identifying brands to help partner with to kind of create that momentum, that motivation. There's so many different, outlets. Sevyn was just talking about, oh, if I'm making a record, but it's about breakup, have you ever thought about reaching out to Kleenex? Because what do you do when you break up, right? Anyway, just kind of giving some broad idea strokes about how we should look at it when we're doing rollout from a brand perspective and how brands know that the artist is ready to collaborate.
And then how do you feel about cold emails? Because I think that's the other thing too, of everybody is like, okay, well, once I have the idea in my head, what do you think is the most impactful if you are a new artist? And also, what's the lead time? Because the amount of emails that I see where it's like, this song come out next week. It's like, no, there's not enough time.
Right.
So,
yeah, I think with all emails are not created equal, I guess you would say. I think when they do come in cold, for me, it's always, you can tell, I think there's a level of self-entitlement, selfishness that goes into it, and that's okay. I tell everyone, we were born into a world of selfishness. So let me just put that out there. We all have that level of tendency. But I think coming at it from a perspective of, I just want something for myself, versus I've identified a gap within the marketplace, and I think that I can collaborate with this brand to really hone in and create some value, or you reach out to an area where we might feel is underserved or just might not know about this opportunity. I think that's kind of what separates a cold email, whether it's something that's self or something that's really trying to create value within the creative industry.
absolutely.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah, and you know what? We actually have a gap that we want to fill because Sevyn wants to have drum lessons. No, but I do think this is the moment of talking about how you want to extend your creativity and even take your fans along the route of you learning something new.
Yeah, because I'm a really big advocate of adding tools to your tool belt. I don't play about that. I'm going to college in spring, which I'm excited about. So shout out TCU. I'll be around that. I haven't said that to nobody yet, but I'm very excited. My family's alma mater, so we fire. But with that, I love adding tools to my tool belt any kind of way that I can learn. I grew up in a gospel choir with all of my cousins, so at the church when you on the drums and you on the keys and this cousin's on that instrument, I was the one that gravitated towards the drums. My brother had a drum set in our house growing up, so I've always dabbled. And even recently, I had a show with 1500 Nothing. Last Grammy week, we did a performance, and we were in rehearsal. And shout out to DJ, he's Beyonce's the DJ for her, and he was teaching me how to play the Phil Collins drum break. And I'm like, and all of the guys were like, "Hey, you got a nice little pocket on you." I was like, "Yeah, I know I've got a nice little pocket." So we went to talking about it, and I'm about to start my drum lessons because it's just another tool I want to add to my tool belt. Thank you. And I'm excited about it. And then the other night I was in the session with Harmony Samuels, and he was talking about my first single, I Like It. And he was like, you came into the studio and you were like beating on the desk and you gave me the drum cadence for all of I Like It. And I'm like, that's how much I really am connected to drums. I love drums. So yeah, with that being said, I would love to be able to, further that. And with the DJ, he actually is, he's on the road a lot. He was like, we can do them virtually. I'm like, okay, so let me figure out real drum set versus electric drum set. And now that's where our head is in terms of our process. So I would absolutely love to incorporate or do that with Roland. I think that, and allow fans to see it because, like I said, we all should be adding more tools to our tool belt continuously,
Yeah, absolutely. And even to just elaborate just on that piece right there, because I think that's incredible that someone that's established in your career decides that, hey, I want to learn how to play drums. Just like even a quick story and how that relates to how we're continuing to evolve at Roland. We're opening up what we're going to call a creators program. That allows, usually we're identifying creatives for their niche. So, if we are releasing a new drum product, we're going to go look for a drummer. If we're releasing a new piano product, we're typically going to look for piano players. What we've seen over the last couple of years is that creatives, if you're following, these streamers like DDG or Kai Sanat or just individuals out there on Twitch, you'll see a lot of them are crossing over into kind of music category endeavors and creatives. How many of you guys have ever seen the show Friends before? So, just a quick story. 4 weeks ago, I get a phone call from one of the streamers that I work with. He's a drummer. And he's like, Markeith, you're never going to believe it. Guess who called me? I'm like, who? He's like, Courtney Cox. I'm like, Courtney from Friends. He's like, yes. I'm like, what did she call you for? He's like, she saw my videos and she wants me to teach her how to play drums. He's like, can I give her your cell phone number? I'm like,
yes.
Sure, you can. So she calls me on the phone, and remember, she's 62 years old now. Just now picked up the drums for the first time, and now you have all these different outlets picking it up because what we're identifying with is that you don't have to be a drummer to play drums. Yeah. What we're looking for is creatives that want to express themselves creatively because we believe if you're building a true organic fan base, your fans are going to just want to know what you're doing anyway, no matter what it is. So when you guys see me later today, if you want to know more about that creator program, that's really where it's centered. It's not about boxing the artists into what we believe they're going to be. It's about expressing and letting creatives to kind of express that. We're rolling and we have hundreds of products that can unlock different creative endeavors. So just wanted to definitely touch on that for sure.
That's exciting.
Okay, so next we're going to get into sustainability and business reality, and I think even the segue into that of Markeith really talking about the level of professionalism and going in and spotting the gap and what would make it work for the brand and you is just the mindset to be able to get yourself into. Because when you're really thinking about building a sustainable career, it is going to be consistency over virality. Systems are going to matter. So how you organize your creativity, your marketing, and whatever your team workflows are, especially if it's just you, get a friend. But if it is, it's just what kind of things do you have in place? The biggest thing that has worked for me has been habit stacking. So to think of 4 things that I can do back to back just to know that those moments happen. So my first thing is in the morning, I know I have to immediately get out of bed or I'll be on TikTok for 2 hours. So it's out the bed immediately, right into a cup of raspberry leaf tea. And that's also before my son get up, so it's like,
He's in.
so that moment first, then getting him up into the car and whatever the podcast or article that I've already bookmarked, to already have that on and it's playing in the car. So it's like, okay, I'm getting the moment to be able to know what's going on outside and it's tracking through my day. And the other thing is I do all my calls on Tuesday. And I also do them while I'm hiking. So it's just like, one, we're gonna make this call efficient because half the time I'm like, no, that makes sense. So yeah, just thinking of the ways that you can move through your list and do the things that you need to do. And then also knowing when to partner. I feel like a lot of times out of the gate, you think, I need people. Like, I need a bunch of people. What are we gonna do? Help me do this. But I feel like as you're building your team, if you are moving through the steps, so you've already seen what it's like to pitch your song on the Spotify backend. You've already figured out when you've had success and when you haven't. You've ran small creator campaigns and know, actually, I gotta give them some kind of creative guideline. It can't just be an open format because that didn't work for me. So just having those things, so when you bring people along, you can also realize when they're actually doing their job or just collecting a check from you. And then also knowing when to pause, because I think a lot of times when something isn't working, you're frustrated or you're trying to figure out what to do next, but knowing that that's a pause and not a stop. So taking that moment and being like, okay, have I done everything I can do for this record? And maybe I'm gonna move to the next one now and run it through those same steps and just to see, was it the record? Is it me? Is it time of year? Like, what are those things? And then lastly, it's just like the way you think about success cannot be wrapped up into data. Like, that's gonna be obviously an indicator, right? So it's like, oh, I put out this record, it has this many streams, or I put out this video and this is happening. So those are gonna give you signals. But I think if you're thinking about it holistically, it is, last month I put out 4 pieces of content and this month I put out 8. And from this 8, I had these learnings. These are the ones that perform the best, so this is the pocket that I'm gonna stay in. Versus wondering why you haven't hit X amount of followers or those kind of moments. It's just like, what learnings can you keep implementing along the way and just keep iterating on your plan versus abandoning it when you feel like you're not hitting the marks that you want to hit. And then if we think about marketing and PR, right? So this is gonna be our little exercise for today. I thought long and hard about this, so y'all better do it. No, I really want everybody to take 2 minutes, right? And if you think about either where you are now, where you wanna go, what you want people to know. So if you had to introduce yourself, you're the product. If you have to introduce your song, if you're introducing a project, what's the one sentence that captures the era? And Sevyn, you going first.
I'm thinking, hold up now. The one sentence that captures the era? For me, put your music where your mouth is. That's mine. I put my music where my mouth is. And if my music is colorful, it'll show through and through. So I'll put my music where my mouth is. That's the era for now. So the further and the more extreme and the more experimental the music, the further and the more extreme and the more experimental my physical, my world, this go round, period.
Okay, who wants to be brave? Yes. Hi. I think that's really cool. So how do your visuals look?
The visual is out. It's set in blue lighting. It's very slow moving. It's
Slowly, you just said we just
It starts off slow.
Okay,
It starts
and then we
off
speed
slow,
it up.
but then you see the exact reason as to why my character nerd goes into the direction she goes into. So heartbreak, and it's trying to get over that heartbreak, and then we move to the next visual, which is running, which is me running away from my problems.
Yes.
And then now we're at butterflies, which is me accepting everything.
I love that character. That's a good character art. Okay. And I like the through line of the running.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you run every day?
Yeah, I do.
You're gonna take us on IG stories and it's like, hey,
I'm running that way.
here's the moment right before my run. Here's post clarity run moment, and tell us what you think of what happened. Where we at? Are we over him? Okay, good. Well, let me start running too. Okay. Okay, can we have one more person?
Who won it? Who won it?
Turning pain into purpose.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, and you're an artist?
Yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter. Name is Ben E. Davis. Current single is called American Boy in London. I sampled Sting, did it the right way, hashtag no Diddy. As an independent artist, it was very hard to do to clear a sample of Sting.
What did you go through? DMG? Ample samples?
I do go through DMG, yeah.
DMG. Everybody write that down. Do not put that record out without clearing that sample. Okay. What does the song sound like?
It's does anybody know Englishman in New York?
Yeah.
So I flipped it. Whoa, I'm American. Oh, say, can you see I'm American? An American boy living in London. So sample that chorus, a little bit of pop with hip hop influence. But the new stuff is painful because I went through a friendship breakup. A friend of mine won $10 million on a TV show, then kind of ghosted me. Won't mention the names, obviously, because I can't do that. So I'm trying to navigate the new phase of telling my side of the story of the preparation and the friendship that we had leading up to that place, and then what's coming.
I need the 37-part TikTok. Because I'm going to find out who a friend is.
Well, I've already said too much. But
No. Drop some innuendos. Switch the story up a little.
Y'all got Google, but it's I'm just trying to figure out where we go from here. But I've been crying for like 8 months, so we'll see what happens.
No, I was half joking about the TikTok story because that is literally. I feel like even if you are obviously keeping the confidentiality piece of that, but how many people can obviously relate to losing a friend and what that feels like and the grief that goes along with like mourning a person that's still here and walking
That's
around.
still alive, yes. And the leveling up and I just didn't, I left LA for that reason. So the whole leveling up and having another LA story of like, you think your friend's gonna take you with them and then you get left behind.
We need to hear that. No, that is great context to lead people into the music. Thank you so much.
Sevyn, thank you. Love your stuff.
Thank
so happy
you.
you're here. Thank you.
And the best of luck to you. Awesome.
Okay, we'll do one more. What is the last record that you put out and how does it tie into that one sentence tagline?
The last record I put out is called Casamigos.
Okay.
I love tequila. Also, it comes right after this record I put out called Digital Criminal. So I went to federal prison. And then obviously for digital crime. And then there I learned Spanish. I was in Florida, so I learned Spanish. And I had a Dominican girlfriend on the outside at the time. So, and then I just kind of lived my life after that. So, and put it into the music. I stuck with something I love.
Okay, so we stuck with the music.
Yeah.
We did a little crime.
Of course.
We met a cute girl.
Yeah.
The girl's still here and she gone.
Gone.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to pull up the Casamigos. Yeah, we're going to have a shot of tequila.
Of course.
We're moving on.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right, I like it.
That's it. Thank you guys too as well for hosting this, for being here as artists. We love it.
And thank you guys. The reason for this whole exercise is I feel like if you can't describe the story, your fans can't either. So I know we all like to think like, I'm so layered and deep. And a lot of times it's just like, no, what happened? You know, and like, how can people easily latch on? I have actually been reading so many books about copywriting, in the sense of like, what's on the ads, right? And it has made me think about everything so much differently, because I think we definitely want to be seen as like these really complex characters, and like there's so much to know, don't put me in a box. But I really think boxes help people understand, and it helps everyone else sell things. If you're able to be like, hey, okay, what kind of drink do you want? You want a sugar rush, you want water, you want whatever, and it's like those identifiers, package it, sell it. And so getting into that understanding of just like, how can I make this easy for people so they get what I'm about and know where to place me and know kind of where I fit in their lives as well. So just story clarity is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Okay, now I was so tickled, Sevyn, by the girl, because she was talking about Taboo. That's my favorite Sevyn record. And she was like, I'm still mad that Sevyn's team didn't push this song. It's so good. And that was before our time, so she wasn't talking about us.
Remix, give new life.
Yeah, so, but really leaning into what your fans are saying, and which records are also the favorites for them, because I think obviously when you are selecting singles, you have the ones that mean the most to you or the ones that you love to perform, and sometimes it doesn't always line up with the fan story. And I think it is, whether you're calling them fans, community, audience, whatever, but just knowing that they're also your partners in storytelling, because I'm always in the comments seeing what are people saying, how are they responding to the record, and how can you create ways to give them a moment to participate, because I also think now the way that social has changed. Before it's like you were able to put up a beautiful picture and people were like, yes, killing it, love it. And now you gotta throw a meme in the mix. You gotta have a caption that's giving them something to be able to respond to. So knowing that they're your partners in storytelling, inviting them in to participate, and also if the messaging makes sense, they're gonna spread it better than any PR campaign. So when we really think about the creative utility as well, it's just like artists, brand partnerships, not thinking of any of this as just social posts, but tools and access and environments and community. I feel like when you think about anyone coming to you, Markeith, and wanting to partner, do you go strictly off, okay, let me look at the numbers. What does their fan base look like? Or is it, no, what you're doing is really niche and fits this pocket, and your engagement is really high, even though you have a smaller community size?
I think it's evolved over time with the algorithm. I think everyone could probably attest to that. I'm always asking, like, Instagram, how are you telling me what my fans want to see when I shook hands with all these folks that I actually met? So obviously it's changed over time. So it's almost allowed us to think things through differently, because I think there was a time where we just went off of numbers. We said, hey, now it's like we can't, because I don't know if Instagram is blocking this individual's algorithm, right? So it could be skewed numbers. So honestly, what we're looking for these days is authenticity in the content, because you can tell when it comes over whether it's organic or paid. And I think the other thing that really resonates, I look at it as, I call partnerships, especially in our ecosystem, a spider web. And I don't think you can get too far out of the web if you're really in the know. So to me, it's not how many people follow you, it's who follows you. those are the things that I look for within the ecosystem of the spider web, because it'll tell me, like, if I'm looking for a drummer, if I go to your page and you have the likes of, you know, a Jimmy Jam or a Chris Dave or a Sheila E, or, you know, these renowned, respected drummers are really following and tapped into what you're doing, it doesn't matter how many followers you have. It's telling me that, because I believe that the top are influenced by the people that are kind of creating all the time. I always say, I'm like, where did you get that idea from? Because that's where I feel they're influenced by the ones that are in that kind of race all the time to just continue to put stuff out there until you get that viral or whatever the sensation you're looking for. So it's not numbers, it's really about authenticity in your craft and who is following your journey. I think are the two things that we really look for. Numbers these days are just numbers. I can go buy numbers on the internet.
It's great to hear you say that. As an artist, it's really great to hear you say that.
Okay, Donna, let's go to the next one. Okay, so key takeaways, really thinking about rollouts as the heartbeat of your brand. Brand alignment really is gonna build that credibility. Longevity comes from storytelling, organization, and connection. And really knowing that what you're building is bigger than the song, right? And so how you're able to just keep it going and invite people in on purpose. So having a lot of intention of just like what kind of spaces you're creating, and being able to go from there. So the next slide is my recommended resources for you guys. So one of my favorite books is Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And these are really just great starting points. So that book in particular really helps you understand if it has been difficult for you to like craft an artist message. You get a level of clarity and focus, I think, as well, because when you're hearing different examples that doesn't feel right on the nose music related. So in the book, he's talking about a coffee shop and all of these different places and how to apply the same logic. I think it takes you in a different space so you can really think through that piece. The other is the Venice Music blog. So we have become the case study hub of just really studying rollouts and figuring out, man, what worked, what got people's attention, what things can other artists try, and then lastly, Roland's Artist Hub. So learning what's out, how are you able to create different sounds, tap in with different people, know who's doing what. And we're gonna close this out with our last question. Donovan, the next slide. Does genre still matter? So I feel like, Donovan, did you throw this in? Who threw this in? Because when I seen it, I said, hold on now. But I have some spicy takes that I'll save for the end. But I think, do you want to start, Sevyn, or should we start in the audience?
I think you do.
You know, I mean, no, we can throw it to them.
Okay.
Let's throw it to them.
Rel.
Hello everyone, I'm Urel. I'm one of the LA hip hop artists here, and I think genre matters because if you look at the word, the word itself has to do with the gene and the DNA of what you're creating, and that fuels your brand. That's where you start off. If you don't know who you are, what you want to make, what you want to bring to people, you just out here like floating. So I think genre matters when it comes to like where your inception is, and influences can vary, and being from different walks of life matter to the creation, but at the end of the day, we all a melting pot. So the genre you start in or what you want to create initially is why it matters, but after that, it's really about who you are in that genre. What story are you bringing to the genre? So.
Hello guys, my name is RLP Son. I'm an R&B artist, and to piggyback off of what you said, it definitely does matter, because one of the first questions that people ask you when you make music, oh, what type of music you make, right? So it's definitely good to say, like, oh, I'm an R&B artist, I'm a hip hop artist, I'm a pop artist, alternative, whatever type of music you make, and that definitely defines who you are as an artist, and you should definitely carry that with you through your journey.
This has been incredible, by the way, so thank you. Just want to thank you all three. So my name is Sheba, and Sheba Salamarian. I'm an artist historically, but I also work with other artists and help them start, grow, and scale up their careers. And my answer to this question is that it, of course, it matters, right? Like where you start the story is really important, but I think authenticity matters. Like if you're trying on genres, you know, like you're at H&M trying on clothes, if it's not authentic to you, if it doesn't come from like your soul and your heart, people will smell that. So I think that, you know, it's really important not to play game the system with genre, which sometimes I see artists doing. If it doesn't come from your heart, people will smell it. So I think, you know, genre does matter, but make sure the genre is tied to your personal story as an artist and is authentic for you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amy. I'm an artist. I make like Afro soul, Afro pop, R&B music. I was told not to like box myself in that though. But I do think foundationally, yes, like the genre matters. But in today's day, like the combination and blends of music, I think is what kind of makes it easier for us to not just stay in a box. So like even the Nicki Minaj Bees in the Trap remix, you know, like you know, like even that combination, I think we're seeing so much of that now. And it's just so beautiful, even with Afro, like you have Afro rock now, Afro pop, Afro R&B, like there's just so many ways we're able to cross it over. So maybe that's why that was the question. Also, I'm shaking because I'm nervous. So.
I'm Sevyn. I'm a rapper from San Diego, but I live in LA now. I think genre matters until like as a build-up. Like you kind of have to like know the rules in order to break them. And like when I started out, like I think like TDE was like my biggest influence. But like as I've gone further, like I've tried to mix it with other sounds. And like lately on this like next project I'm building, like I'm mixing it with like much more of a rock style. And it's just like, it has to like be bigger than yourself, and it also has to be a part of yourself if you're gonna do it. But like to build off what she said, like there's so many like BPMs that like you can flow over, and it's like if you put it over like certain beats, it like fits. So it's just like, it matters, but like at the same time, like if you know how to break it, like it can be freaking beautiful, so.
Trace Marks, everybody, thank you. Being a British Jamaican artist living in Miami, I would say as an artist, from an artist level, it doesn't, I'd say similar to your answer there, as long as it's authentic to you, right? And how I think it's similar to the Roland, how would you go after a brand, right? So if I'm in a party and I would dance to it, then I'll probably make music to that type of music, right? So if it's authentic and it gets me moving, then if I'm in the right mood, then I'll probably put lyrics to some kind of a beat like that. But then when it comes to the song, I think it does matter very much, right? So you can do whatever feels right, but I've been thinking about it as well. So my next song, so I just made an Afrobeat song, and then before that was an R&B song. I just started singing in falsetto in the summertime, and that's a whole, little lucid trip that happened. But so I have a song coming out on Christmas, but it's actually like a British drum and bass sound. And just from a faith perspective, I've always wanted to kind of, give thanks and put out a gospel song, but I'm like, so I was thinking about putting it out as gospel, but then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot almost, because algorithms are still running today's, getting out there, right? So from the ground up, if you're maybe Rihanna or something, then maybe you can just call it what you like. But if you're trying to get them to actually, put the flag up and say, then have them put it in the right playlist, and, it is a drum and bass track, so yes, and if you can double genre or something like that, then you can't do that actually when you do pitch to curators and stuff. But that's where I think it does matter. We have to like kind of be sharp to know that where this actually fits, because until you can actually get about changing things, you have to kind of get in there almost like a Trojan horse, and then you can
Thank you guys. Everyone really tapped into the pieces. I actually had to write my answer out. That's why I was like, let me grab my phone. But no, I think from a business standpoint, genre still organizes the market, right? So from algorithms and metadata to just industry infrastructure. So if you think about award categories and them making that new country one, but we ain't gonna go there. And even brand partnerships, right? So even if they know, hey, we want to link to someone with hip hop influence because you just know the cultural currency that comes with that and who they speak to. So I think from a business standpoint, it organizes the market, right? And then from a creative standpoint, which is what I feel like all the artists in the room we're speaking to, is we really are in this period of blurring boundaries, right? And so I feel like Doechii and even the record that Rosalia just put out, I was like, oh, okay. But it's just like the blending of hip hop, pop, rock, electronic, and even the gospel moment that would happen, amen. And then I also think obviously TikTok and internet culture has played into that so much with mashups, because there's so many records of, even if I think about songs that I knew and I never knew the name of the band. So I think it was maybe last year when I was just nonstop listening to, is it the Cranberries? Yes. I don't know why I was that emo, but it was happening. But it was because of TikTok and like how but that wouldn't be something that I would go out and search for, but I immediately remembered the hit from all of the movies that it was synced in, but then it just led me to be like, oh, actually, I'm in this mood and I want to listen to this genre of sound at the moment. And then I think on the other end of it, from the cultural standpoint, it's super political, right? Because I think we can say, oh, genre doesn't matter, but then you think of all of the categories that, say, for instance, Black artists may have been shut out of. So then you can understand why gatekeeping R&B might be a real thing, you know, that people want to talk about. And was Swag an R&B album? We don't know. No, but you know, just all of those things and just the identity that comes along with that. So I think even with the passing of D'Angelo and how you were really able to just tie that back to neo soul, and you couldn't strip those two moments away. So I think the real conversation is just who gets to define it. When do the rules apply? Because I'm like, ooh, the goalposts be moving of who gets to make it on the hip hop charts, but who don't make it on the country charts. So all of those things. But I think as you're creating and thinking about it, of course, I think you have the freedom when it comes to creativity. But then once it's the business, we understand why we got to put it in a box. Then culturally, understanding who we're talking to and just also who do we have to pay respect to, who kind of led the way in that category. But thank you guys.